Welcome everybody to the Mass Timber Office Forum. My name is Matt Holman. I'm a partner of the Gardner and Theobald business, working in the project management division. It's great to have so many leading clients, consultants, insurers, contractors, suppliers, specialists and trade associations together for forums such as this. It's also great to have so many familiar names on the attendee list with so many clients, consultants and contractors that I've worked with over the years. As I hope you've already seen, we've assembled an enviable lineup of industry leading people for our panels. I will act as chairperson, making sure we keep a good flow and raising questions to panellists during the forum sessions. This first session, however, is very much an introduction to what we intend to cover, to let you know how we intend to run the sessions and a plea to ask you to raise your own objectives, aims and questions, as we really want all parties to contribute and maximise what they get out of the sessions. Personally, I'm very, very excited by the prospect of the sessions. We'll have a lot of intel to share and a lot of knowledge to gain. So this is our agenda today. I'll give an overview of the forum team on the G&T side. We're going to take you through what we want to try and get out of the questions and objectives. I'll give you an introduction into the forum, a stakeholder map, the sessions and their structure, some UK projects, some international projects, and we'll touch on the store manual at the end. Okay, the forum team roles. As I mentioned before, my name is Matt Holman. I'm partner of G&T business, working on the PM side. This week marks my 20th anniversary at the firm, and in that time I've worked with an incredible array of clients, some exciting schemes across the commercial, office, residential, retail and leisure sectors, and I've built a project management team of over 60 project managers. Many of you will know o.booth, who has become our resident expert in the field and has worked incredibly hard together with the rest of the forum team to organise the sessions. Ollie works in our cost management side of the business, but as a number of our clients on the video conference will know, we deploy Ollie across various service delivery streams we offer in respect to this specialised field. Jess Pennell and Jack Lewis, two of our bright next-gen stars of the future, have enviable CVs already for one so young, and we're delighted by their enthusiasm and initiative in assisting Ollie pull the forum together. Jess works in my team on the PM side of the business, and Jack works on the QS side of the business. Some of the more technical amongst you may recognise Jess as having been the coordinator for the production of the latest BCO technical guide, and indeed, out of this, we hope that this will lead to the production of a technical paper for the BCO. Last, but by no means least, Laura Whibley works in our marketing and communications team and has helped Ollie, Jess and Jack in managing and organising me for the forum sessions. Any questions you may have about other initiatives of the firm, such as our next-gen events, publications, etc., Laura will be able to assist. Laura will now provide an overview of the technical side of the presentations, followed by Ollie, who will speak a little bit about your objectives and questions. Over to you, Laura.
Hello, lovely to have you all here with us today. Just quickly going to run through some of the technical side of things, just so that you can engage with us throughout these sessions. At the bottom in the middle of your screen, you'll see 3 command buttons. You'll see the chat function, the raise your hand function and the Q&A function. We'd like you to use these as much as possible throughout. It's great, you can chat to each other on the chat function and ask questions through the Q&As. We've got Jess and Jack in the background who will be able to pick up on any questions that you've got, and we'll also collate these at the end. Each of these sessions will be recorded, and we'll make sure that notes are circulated following each one. And also throughout, we're going to do a few polls. So we hope you'll join in with these, just to get a flavour of how you're feeling currently. So if I launch one of these now, you'll see it come up on your screen. So I'll do that now. Which percentage of offices in the UK do you think will be built partially or totally from mass timber by 2030? Then you've got the choices of less than 25%, 25 to 50%, 50% to 75%, and 75 to 100%. We'll give you about 15 seconds to answer this. That's great, thank you very much. And then we can also share the results, which you will also see pop up on your screen. We'll do a few of these polls throughout, and hopefully you'll engage and enjoy the session. I'm going to hand over to Ollie, who's going to take you through some of the questions and objectives.
Thank you, Laura. Morning all and welcome. I would just like to reiterate Matt Holman's excitement at having you all here in this unique forum and the opportunity it presents. Hosting virtually due to COVID-19 has afforded us a different opportunity. More of you can join from all parts of the UK, the world, and different organisations. So why are we doing this? What is the objective? We have spent 5+ years of researching mass timber at G&T, presenting our understanding to the developers, having forged close relationships with them, as well as the supply chain, installers, and working with our fellow open-minded consultants across various disciplines. Together, we have been learning lessons, visiting construction sites and the sawmills, trying to liaise and bring together all the stakeholders across this relatively new yet highly innovative industry. For clarity, by mass timber, we are referring to predominantly CLT, cross-laminated timber, glulam, and LVL, laminated veneer lumber, which can often be combined with other construction, such as steel, for hybrid opportunities. And we mustn't ever overlook the opportunity of hybrid opportunities. The leading and most forward-thinking developers have always shown a major interest in mass timber, and we have been to see many, if not all of you in the room over the years. The climate crisis and targets to reduce carbon emissions have pushed this industry on immensely, as nothing reduces carbon emissions quite like using timber. For various reasons, many of you are already planning, designing, on-site, or have completed mass timber offices in the UK or rest of the world. This forum was the idea of several of those leading developers, and you know who you are. We are here because of your support to compile your questions, facilitate constructive discussion, find your answers, collaborate and share information to unlock current barriers to the market. So please send to me, us, your questions through the live chat at the bottom of your screens or via my email, o.booth@gardner.com at any time, day or night. Matt and the team will be preparing with each panel a month before they begin, so they have your questions in advance to ensure they have enough time to form constructive, considered answers. This series of forums is in association with TRADA and the Structural Timber Association, and they are invited to all their sessions, and we welcome their input and support. Several of the individuals responsible for coordinating the important BCO Guard have been invited, as Matt has mentioned, to the forum and will feed back to that organisation. At the end of this series, G&T aims to reflect, create actions and bring us back together to see what's been learned over the next 9 months of this monthly held forum. This forum will be a success, we hope, because of your questions. So please start firing them over as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, so we've arranged 8 sessions. They're going to be held on the first Tuesday of every month, except the one in January, which will be the second Tuesday of the month. You can see the sessions there. So we have insurance, fire testing and building control, a view of leasing and sales, best practice during construction, cost, program and procurement, capacity, supply chain and procurement, structure, M&E and acoustics, essentially engineering, and sustainability. Each session will comprise a short presentation by the panellists. The main aim is to share knowledge and understanding of the topics. Please do submit your questions, as we sincerely want to help you, to shape these sessions and get what you want out of them. Moving on.
Thanks, Matt. When we set out and tried to map all the stakeholders in the industry, we were quite frankly flabbergasted and amazed how far and wide it reached. As you can see on your screen, this is a diagram that we've put together. We've tried to illustrate the stakeholders map on your screen, but we would welcome from any of you if we think we've missed anybody off. And I'm sure there probably is somebody or organisation or stakeholder in there that we have. Over the next 9 months, we've aimed and tried to assemble leading experts from recognised organisations. Within each stakeholder group, we want to discuss, debate and deliberate on matters such as where the industry currently is, where is it going, what needs to be considered and done to ensure its progression, and how best to collaborate and educate all of our stakeholder groups and take back lessons learned to all of our own silos. So just looking across the stakeholder group, working from left to right, you'll see that the huge and massive protagonists in all of this, which is the insurance industry. And we'll hear from them in the first forum. The funders and developers, the fact that you're all on this call today, and there's so many of you, your well-known organisations, just goes to show how big an interest is being taken in this. And that is really what has brought, I think, everybody together, because of you all taking a huge interest. Then there's all of us consultants living in there, our architects and project managers and cost consultants and MEP and fire engineers and designers, acoustics, etc., etc. We mustn't forget our builders, who are a massive part of this industry, and it's a learning curve for all of us, and we need them more than anybody. Then there's the CLT subcontractors across the UK and Europe, who we know so well and have spent so much of their time educating us and helping us. The manufacturers themselves, who are conglomerates in their own right. The forestry, we mustn't forget the forestry and how important it is that we're careful of that. And the manufacturers will tell us in one of the later forums how much care and diligence they take to make sure that that's looked after. Testing, we must do lots and lots of testing to make sure that we safeguard things like water ingress, durability, fire, etc. The regulators and legislators, we will hear from building control and other such organisations, and they're integral to this, as with all of our industry. The agents, their view on in terms of leasing and sales. Public perception, because let's face it, we build the buildings we do for the public, so the end users and tenants are important. The environmental assessment methods, and the governing bodies, many of which are here today. I think Laura's just going to stick up another poll now, if you can, please, Laura. So what do you think is the greatest barrier to the uptake of mass timber offices? Is it insurance, fire, cost, commercial values, education, experience, or another? So just to conclude, whilst we're taking your polls, I don't think we've ever had an audience like this on this topic with so many of the major stakeholders in the room. So again, you'll hear us reiterate over and over again, please send us your questions. We really will put them to the panels. Thank you.
We got the results of that one, Laura?
Just waiting for a few more people.
Okay.
Interesting.
Funny that. So our first two sessions are on insurance and fire. It's very interesting. Okay, right. So should we move on, Laura? Okay. So our first session is indeed on insurance. Probably the most eagerly awaited session, as it would appear to me, certainly key to unlocking much of the potential of this area. All of the panellists, I have to say, are very keen to be involved and are very supportive of the forum. I'm sure you'd agree we've assembled a fantastic panel for this session. All the organisational representatives and individuals' names are well known to you, and indeed I know they're all involved with ensuring your projects and your portfolio of properties of our clients on the video conference. So the panellists are Doug Barnett, Caroline Hessein, Andy Penny, David Lyle, Andy Desmond, and Dominic Lyon. Their company names obviously speak for themselves. You know all of them, so it's going to be a much anticipated session. It's on the 4th of August, and it'll be our first session. So yeah, looking forward to that one. Ollie, do you want to pick up on the next one?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So our next forum is the Fire Testing and Building Control Forum. This next panel will naturally have a huge impact on the former panel of insurance, and the two need to work closer together to help unlock both barriers to the market, really. It is so important to consider fire both during and post construction, and events in the last few years serve to remind us of that huge responsibility once again. This is certainly no different with timber buildings. However, all sorts of buildings and construction can be made safe through well-considered design. And should mass timber offices buildings be treated any differently? And that is the question. This is a huge topic, particularly when considering timber office buildings. And these individuals are some of those at the forefront of understanding the topic, and we feel very fortunate to have them. Danny Hopkin is the Technical Director at OFR, who are one of the leading fire engineers. Matt Linegar is the Director of R&D and Project Management at Storenzo, one of the large manufacturers who we'll also hear from later on in the forums. And they are one of the largest and oldest manufacturers in Europe. However, Matt is also a senior member of the STA, the Structural Timber Association, and is leading on a commissioned 18-month fire test program, which OFR are involved with, And this is all funded by the mass timber manufacturers themselves. So that's quite important. And we really look forward to hearing about that and what the suggested and hopeful outcomes are going to be of that. Mark Punsak works with many of the leading developers on this group and is invited and will be able to give us an invaluable insight to a view from building control. And Judith Schultz is representing Arup Fire, who are incredibly regarded on the subject and advise. We are also hoping a representative from the London Fire Brigade might be able to join us, but that is still to be confirmed. What is discussed will be, whatever is discussed, we are extremely grateful for the individuals for taking their time to explain their specialism to us. Thank you.
Okay, what's the view of leasing and sales? We had Michael Davis already lined up for us. We thought a session on the view of the agents would be important. At its simplest and potentially crudest, I guess, what is the play between a potentially reduced column grid versus the marketability of a modern green interior of exposed timber frame in whole or part? What is the latest thinking regarding green leases? What's already happening in other territories around the world? So we thought this would be a great session. We've got other agents lined up and interested. We haven't got their individuals named as yet, but that'll happen in due course. So Laura, it might be good to use this as a point to put the third question we wanted to put up today, just if we may. So, which of the following do you think best describes current public perception of working in mass timber office buildings? Better for health and well-being, it's cool and trendy, better for the planet, it's dangerous, they don't care. So you've got I think you've got 15 seconds to answer that one. Be interesting to see the response on this one. I think the second question, I think Ollie and I probably predicted it would have been insurance and fire, but on this one, not so sure. So. We got an answer? Drum roll. Cool. Okay.
That's really interesting.
Very, very interesting. Good. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. Okay, if we move on to construction.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. So a fundamental part of construction is our builders, and the three participants on this panel represent recognised main contractors from across the industry, both large and medium size. Andrew Shepherd is the CEO of Mid Group, a construction company that prefer to utilise off-site construction methods, who have been involved in many schools using timber construction and are currently working with the office group on their proposed iconic all-timber office in Shoreditch. David Smith represents Lendlease from the structures and facades lead perspective and is involved with the Google Office King's Cross, which Matt will tell you a little bit about later. Graham Barter is construction director of Mace and has helped deliver the Believe in Better mass timber building for Sky. These individuals will have a huge amount of experience to draw upon, and we look forward to hearing their views on working with mass timber. There are so many things that we hope will be considered, and again, just to reiterate, we welcome your questions. Questions such as, what is the health and safety of working with timber? Preventing water ingress during construction, what are your best tips? How can we make that happen? What are your learnt lessons? Preventing fire during construction, which will be partly picked up during our fire forum, but also it would be good to hear from the builders because they're the ones that actually have to put this stuff into practice during construction. What is best practice throughout? The building pros and cons with mass timber, and a view on the mass timber market in the future. Thank you. Matt?
Okay, it wouldn't be a session at G&T without a session on cost, programme and procurement now, would it? So this session we focus on cost, programme and procurement considerations, and naturally we thought that we should take the lead on this one. Steve Bennett is well known to many of you, I'm sure. He's a leading cost consultant in the UK market. He's a member of our senior management team here at G&T, a good friend of mine and a long-standing colleague. We often work together and you'll see us side by side in many meeting room. Steve and Ollie will provide a cost bias to the session, thoughts regarding competition, capacity risks, etc. Paul Robinson in my team, he heads our planning and logistics team. Paul and myself will provide thoughts on programme, what's really driving the programme, design decisions and the timing of them, manufacture leadings, transportation to site logistics, site assembly methodologies, etc. The four of us will then share our knowledge in respect to procurement, emerging models, and the like. Should be, well, for me, will be a pretty interesting session. I'm really interested to get your questions on this one. Ollie.
Thanks, Matt. This next session, I'm very, very much looking forward to, because we're swinging to a whole different side, but a very integral part of the stakeholder group. The next panel are senior members of some of the largest and leading mass timber manufacturers, suppliers across Europe. And these companies are absolutely huge. If you're not already au fait with them, it's certainly worth looking into the kind of work they're doing. And they are modernizing all the time and creating new technologies. So we have Helmut Spears from Binderholz on the panel from the supplier side, Matt Liniger again from Storenzo, Nick Clark from KLH, and Mark Berridge from Hess Hashlacker. Those are four of the largest manufacturers in the world. These large organisations are well established and they're suppliers of innovative mass timber solutions. It will also be useful to hear about their respective capacity to deliver CLT, their approach to sustainable forestry and harvesting, and PEFC and FSC, and views on the current and future uptake of mass timber in the UK particularly. From the subcontracting side, we know many of these individuals and they've been into your organisation spending huge amounts of their time to help us learn. They've personally helped me learn many, many times, and I've known them for 10 years now. We welcome Greg Cooper from William Hare's hybrid business, Andy Goodwin, the Managing Director of Bowmer and Kirkland Structures business, which is part of Bowmer and Kirkland, Nick Clark from KLH, and Mark Berridge representing Hess Hashlacker. The heads of these subcontractors between them have a wealth of experience in delivering mass timber projects across the UK, and hopefully they'll be able to share some of those with us when we're discussing it on the panel. Very much looking forward to this. Thanks, Matt.
Okay, the designers. We'll have a session on engineering, so structure, mechanical and electrical services, and acoustics and specialist engineering. In this session, we've lined up a number of well-known engineering experts in the industry to provide their thoughts on some of the technical aspects of mass timber technology, including the incorporation of MEP. But what about the specialist engineering input, from the obvious of fire engineering to perhaps the less obvious of acoustics? We've lined these guys up. So we've got Tim Snelson, Alan Dowdall, Rob Partridge, Mike Bevan, Andy Hain, and Gary Elliott, all of which we've worked with before, good guys, and as Ollie mentioned before, all very open-minded to mass timber technology and ones we've worked with before. So we very much look forward to that session. Should be quite an interesting one.
Thanks, Matt. And our final session, albeit we also welcome questions from you if you feel that there should be any other sessions outside of a recap and reflection, is our sustainability section. Probably, well, I say this carefully, but maybe the most important session of all, because mass timber and sustainability both come hand in hand. We realise this is a huge topic, and whilst we have experts on the importance of embodied carbon and how to assess it in the likes of Simon Sturgis particularly, we also welcome questions on other parts, such as the circular economy, health and well-being, and biodiversity. G&T's Head of Sustainability, Richard Francis, is on the panel, as well as Alan Fogarty of Cundall and Mel Allwood from Arup, all respected authorities on sustainability. We know that you will have lots of questions regarding mass timber and sustainability. So whilst this particular forum is further down the line, please be sure to get your questions coming in well in advance to give these and all the other panelists as much time to consider their answers and come back to you when we actually go live in a month from now. Thanks, Matt.
Okay, we thought we'd just put up some example projects. So the top right one there, many people will know that's one of our flagship projects, the Google office at King's Cross. I've not too much to say about that, Ollie, really, other than, you know, obviously people will know that one pretty well, I'm sure. Other schemes, Ollie, do you want to take us through the rest?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Matt. Oarsman Road, which is a British Land project in Hackney, has recently finished, which is a steel and CLT hybrid, which is a fantastic building and well worth going and visiting. Hardman Square, the Pavilion in Manchester, if you're ever up north, as an Allied London building, which is part restaurant and other amenities. There's Kingsgate, which is a KLH project. Dalston Works in Hackney, which I believe, although I may be corrected, is still the largest residential mass timber project in the UK. International House, Sydney, Australia. I think it's worth noting the three that I've got down here on this slide, the last ones, are all from Australia, all Lend-Lease, all certainly worth looking up. Australia seems to be really leading in terms of timber offices. So we've got International House in Sydney, we've got 25 King Street in Brisbane, and Daramaru House in Australia. Daramaru is actually Aboriginal for a tree house. So all fantastic examples. And on the next page, we have a few further examples as well. Just for a bit of further background and reading, if you haven't seen them already. There's Murray Grove in Hackney, which is over 10 years old now, which is quite staggering. It's a social housing project in Hackney. Cambridge Heath Road, which is a great example of, we don't just have to build new mass timber buildings, we can extend them outwards and upwards and reuse existing frames because of their lightweight and flexible nature. And we have the Republic building in East India Docks, which again is another great example where they fill the atria of a concrete building with glulam and CLT to increase net areas. The Black and White building, which you've mentioned already, which is the iconic building for the office group, which is LVL and CLT, which is 50,000 square foot and will be an all timber office, which we look forward to seeing. Curtain Place, another project based in Hackney, and the Vitsu building, which is a furniture warehouse, if you like, or furniture factory, which is quite stunning, and perhaps will set the trend for warehouses and factories in the future. Just thought we'd as we're coming to the end now, just in terms of further reading, because we have got a month, we don't want this to take you away from or divert you from sending your questions to us, but if anyone is interested, last year Storenzo published a concept manual for office buildings, which was a collaboration between them, us at G&T, Scott Brown Rigg and JLL and Ramble to produce a guidance document so that when you're considering mass timber offices, there are some just early guidance tips. The manual highlights the possibilities of constructing an office from wood, outlining information to help get your project started and some of the key questions you might be asking moving forwards. It covers all sorts from architectural design guidelines, component and product details, structural guidelines, design considerations regarding acoustic, fire safety, cost considerations, and case studies with structural drawings and sustainability analysis. So you can download the actual manual for free at the link below. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to do so. Thanks. Over to you, Matt.
So with those last few slides there, with the project examples and the Storenzo document, it's worth a read in advance of the sessions, just to get your background reading up to scratch. So you've got some intel on it really. Hopefully all that whets the appetite. Thank you all for your time this morning. Hopefully this has served as a taster of what's to come. The sessions obviously going forward will be much more interactive. You won't just have a project manager and a cost manager spurting down the end of a video conference. Thank you all for your questions so far. They'll really help shape the session. So if you've got questions, please do let us know what they are, if there's any more to come. We sincerely hope, and hope you agree, that the topics are all interesting, and I hope you agree that splitting the sessions as we have done will enable us to explore each session in a lot more depth. That's the whole purpose of it, rather than this general intro. We'll get into a lot more depth. As I mentioned before, our first session is the insurance session. That will be held on the 4th of August. Invites for that session and the other 7 sessions will follow. And the reminders and login details for each session will be circulated the day before. So pretty much like we've done with this. Lastly, please don't forget to let us know your top 3 aims, objectives, questions, as well to ensure you get as much out of the sessions as possible in the time available. They should all be emailed to Ollie at o.booth@gardner.com if you haven't already put them on the chat already. So lastly, thank you all for attending. That's the best audience I've had as a project manager. 84, I think we got up to, which is pretty amazing. So thank you all for your time. The forums start on the 4th of August and we look forward to seeing you then. Take care.